All right, my clock says 12, and I see that we have a quorum of the city council in the room, so I will call this special meeting of the city council, City of Hillsboro, to order. We have one item of business today, and that is consideration of the purchase of golf and utility carts from Maskey Golf Car Company. Mr. Stiles.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So following up on our meeting on Tuesday, we had opted not to go with the Yamaha lease, which is totally fine. I think that's the right decision. That lease had an equity component to it. So we went and started talking about financing that locally, which is sort of the preference that we had. The price to do that would include the full cost of the cart. And so it became a situation where it would be really difficult for us to set the cart rental rates to pay for that because it was just going to be it would have been pretty high. It would have been cost prohibitive probably for that. So started looking at some other options, and one of the things we talked or potentially could do, and I wanted to put this out there for you because I think this would be the approach I would recommend, is to use the local option sales tax fund. Where we can effectively lease from ourselves. We would buy it outright using the local option sales tax fund, which has close to 500,000 in it. So this is the amount that gets every is a quarter or the half-cent sales tax. Excuse me, the full cent sales tax that goes locally. Paid for the pool. We've talked about using it for the fire station in the future. And so with that amount of money in there, what we do buy from there is, well, we transfer money out. It supports our debt service, which is what it was approved to do for mill levy management. And then we tend to buy capital project stuff for the pool or for recreation, things that don't have a lot of revenue generation, but are kind of quality of life things. We sort of tied to that. And so this fits into that model. What we would do then is to take and set the rental rates for the carts. We basically effectively build our own amortization schedule and then pay that fund back effectively. There may be such situation where we have to transfer it out of that fund into the equipment reserve, and then pay that fund back because there's some rules with regard to the local option sales tax fund. That'll be a question for the auditor, though. So effectively, we're doing what I'm saying. We're using the lease. It may look a little bit different than that, but that would be what it would be. So that approach, it eliminates that interest and issuance costs. There's a little bit of that. Right now, it's about 6% for interest, but I think we could get that. We could choose what interest rate we want to pay ourselves, or if we wanted to pay no interest rate back to it for internally borrowing, we could do that too. This will make it so where we can write a PO and get going on getting getting the equipment here. And then we hold the equity in the fleet that way too. So anytime we want to change that out, I'd recommend going into a 4-year or 5-year change out so we can avoid the situation like we have now where we've held these carts for way too long and now they're basically worthless. And then that also gives us the flexibility to set those rental rates to a reasonable level that people will still pay and we'll still be able to do it. So I would suggest a 4-year amortization schedule, which was what the lease was for. I think that we'll be actually pretty close to the payment amount that was in the lease, depending on what you choose for interest. So that's kind of my recommendation to move forward with these. I normally wouldn't probably recommend doing that, but it's a relatively small purchase. I know we've leased other equipment before, but this falls in line with kind of what that was intended for. And so it just kind of made sense to me that this would be the most equitable thing to do with this particular.
Would we be paying this every month or just during the golf season like that other lease was indicating?
Yeah, you could figure out how to do it however you wanted to.
But a 4-year repayment schedule, we probably run the numbers and we know that with revenue we're going to get with potentially increased cart rentals and all that, we could probably pay off the 100,000 in 4 years.
Yeah.
And then the sustainability of this program is that we can then return those and get
we trade them out and go new carts, and we get to whatever the trade value or the outright sell value. We now have all that versus Yamaha holding it.
Okay.
So
okay, good.
The payments, just to be clear, were roughly the same as what they were proposing when we did the math on amortizing it out. So depending on what you did with the interest and kind of how you would want to do that.
So
you'd be pretty close.
it would not impact anything with the fire station.
Should not, no. That fund generates between $300,000 and $350,000 a year.
Okay.
So that's what it would pay for that.
What would your recommendation be as far as interest? Like paying
TBD.
ourselves interest or
Yeah.
not paying
I
ourselves?
mean, it's obviously a lot simpler not to figure the interest in.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to capture some of that interest from that, you could. I don't know, 2-3%, something like that. You don't want to go too crazy. You could go market if you wanted to and be up to 6, but
Does it make sense to charge ourselves interest, or is there some kind of good faith involvement where we should maybe charge a small interest
Well,
rate?
We're taking money from basically a taxpayer supported fund and using it into a revenue generating operation. And that, in my mind, that revenue generating operation shouldn't get it for free.
yeah.
I mean, you know, because the cost of that same dollar next year is gonna not be $1. It's gonna be $1 and whatever, right?
Sure, yeah.
So I think that it should be some nominal amount. I don't think it should be market
What is
value.
that account earning now? Maybe that's a starting point where.
What are we getting on our
replace
idle
that.
fund right now? Is it 4?
I was thinking 4.
It's right around 4%.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it's been pretty good.
Yeah, maybe we, at the very least, maybe we match that.
Yeah.
Funds are earning.
I agree with that.
3.83.
3.83.
3.83. I'd say match
Been the
it.
same pretty.
Been
It's
pretty
it's the
consistent.
K-MIP rate
Yeah, we use
is
it
what
on
we
that.
get on our CD.
Yeah.
So if we match the K-MIP rate, I don't know if that's.
Yeah, and it could be variable. Maybe we decrease the rate if that goes down too.
You could always change it.
I don't know if that's a nightmare for you, but.
No, I'll just figure out a schedule. We'll go from there. We'll make it easy.
Good. Thanks for being creative with getting things going, because I know that with certain events coming up at the golf course, if we have to rent carts, then that takes away from whatever revenue we receive for that expense, because that's pretty expensive to do. So David's told me all about that.
Yeah.
It'd be good to have carts, so that's great.
Yeah, and they're actually holding these cards for us on too. So
Which that's pretty nice.
it's
Yeah.
been nice of them. Yeah, I mean, I think they've shown good faith on that.
Yeah.
And they're up in Nebraska, so they'll bring them all the way here for us.
I sent a message to Doug Cofer, the one people we've been kind of dealing with, just to say, hey, they have a special meeting today, you know, or tomorrow. I called him yesterday. And he said, I said, everything goes through. Matt says we can probably get this, take it to you hopefully tomorrow or Monday. And he said, I'll go ahead and start figuring out how to load them up, and get them down here.
Great.
I'm assuming they're all in Nebraska because that's where they're based out of. I didn't ask him that. So, but I'm assuming that's where they are. I just knew a couple weeks ago they didn't have a truck available because they were delivering everywhere else. So he said, I'm gonna go ahead and try to get that. I told him we had the senior tournament coming up. I told him a while back it was next Wednesday and I misspoke. I told him last night, well, it's actually a week from Wednesday, but we still want him next week. And so
Yeah.
he said, we'll work on it.
Great.
So is Tom Watson gonna be here, seniors?
Maybe,
Maybe, yeah.
I have more pull with Lee Trevino.
Okay.
but
Oh,
he's married to his cousin, so you.
Any other questions or comments? So, hearing none, I guess what we're looking for is a motion to authorize the purchase of golf carts and utility carts from Masick Golf Car Company, utilizing funds from the local option sales tax fund. Staff, and that would include an annual interest rate equal to the KMIT interest rate that is paid on our idle funds.
Are you looking for a motion?
Yeah, I am.
I'll make that.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Jorgensen,
Also,
a second by Councilman Wilkins. Is there any further discussion?
We're also we're gonna have to do a budget amendment to make this work, but we were already gonna be doing a budget amendment.
You have to.
Gotta do them every year, it seems like, so.
and I'm sorry, I just thought of something. So is the KMIP
KMIP.
rate? Is
KMIT,
that
KMIT.
okay? MIP.
KMIP,
P,
Yeah.
okay, K,
Municipal Investment Pool.
oh, sorry.
Okay, and that rate, that's a constant. Or does that fluctuate? Because I guess if we're amending, if we're amending the budget, how does? Because if I guess, is it simple enough to just say we're going to match the KMIP rate and we'll Cause I know we have to budget for things
Yeah.
like that. So
So,
how would that work?
On
for
the
budget?
amendment part, what we'll end up doing is it'll just be the purchase price right now. And then when we start making payments back to it, we'll have to I'll do a little work on that, but what I'll probably do is take the highest rate that we know and
Okay.
factor that into the budget.
Okay.
But what we actually pay will be tied to the KMIP rate. So
Okay,
we'll over budget it
yeah.
and then back into it.
Does that require any special language just to, okay,
No, that's just a little bit of budget wizardry that we'll do
Okay.
on the back end.
okay.
That was a good question, a good point. I mean, if it made it easier to fix the interest rate. Okay,
It'll be
all right, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries unanimously and got your carts.
All right.
Don't come back.
Let's see.
Uh-huh. Let's, I don't want to start adding up all the money we've spent on the golf course this year. But you know what? It's unfortunate, but it was just stuff that piled up and had to be done and it's just the way it is.
So part of the thing we're working on too, I'm working with Brian, is a schedule and getting our stuff maintained, and like
Right.
the VIN track had to go in because it hasn't been in for I don't know how many years. And so we want to maintain our stuff better.
Sure.
So we're not having surprise big expenditures all of a sudden.
Well,
So
Go ahead,
that's our
Barney.
plan.
I don't golf, but I talked to a lot of people who don't golf too, but they thought the golf course looked better than it ever has. And everybody was telling me that.
So some of that rain helps.
All that rain helps, yeah.
But it also causes problems trying to keep it all mowed, but
Well, they meant everything was cleaned up and.
Yeah.
everything was good.
trees did,
Yeah.
Dustin and
Yeah.
his, my guys I sent with him did a great job with that, and so, yeah.
since we're talking about that, we did have a plan prior to your coming on board to get that welcome to Hillsboro area addressed. And is that plan just fallen by the wayside?
Matt talked to you about the rock and everything there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt talked to me about that, and supposedly these letters were already cut and we can't find them anywhere. Todd Helmer even knew what we were talking about, and he come and looked in the golf maintenance shed and everything for twice, and I have no idea where they're at. These letters that were supposedly already done, we can't find them anywhere.
Would Avery know about that? Did he start that?
I thought I mentioned something to him one time.
Yeah, I've talked to him about it
And
too, and he can't, he's
doesn't
like, they're in the
really-
shop. But he
Yeah.
told me, like, no, they're not.
Maybe they're
Uh,
still at Joe's, is that who made it?
Yeah,
Maybe
Todd,
they're
no,
there.
they
I
were,
don't-
they were definitely in the shop because I saw them. I put my
Did we
hands.
pay
on-
for them?
I would assume
sure we
so.
did.
Yeah.
I don't know. Cause that's
I'm
that's
assuming
one
that they're
eyesore that we're
somewhere.
trying to figure out, cause now it's just
Or somebody walked
limestone
off.
rock with some hills and some weeds and growing there. We gotta knock it down. We had something look better, but yeah, we tried to find those, and I had told Mass, I have no idea where they're at. We've looked everywhere we know to look. We looked even in our area, my buildings, thinking maybe they got stuff there, and
Nowhere at AMPI, I'm assuming.
I don't know if they're this big or this big, or I have no idea.
And they're some of the bigger ones were that big, so they were good size. But
So
I think somebody maybe walked off with them at some point, but I don't know.
I can
Not
check.
sure
down
what
with
they would
Joe's as
wanna do
well
with
and
them,
see
but-
if they-
Who knows?
What I
I'll
would
check them.
suggest though is that we get back on that. I mean, if we're gonna have to replace them, we're gonna have to replace them. And let's get that
Okay.
done. I mean, we've made such a concerted effort to get the rest of it looking nice and a good front door to the city. I'd like to go ahead and finish it
Okay.
off if we could.
I'll check with Joe's too and see if maybe they're still there. I don't know.
There are just a lot of things going on, and I understand, that sometimes things can fall to the back burner, and that's not the most important thing. That's probably still not the most important thing on our, but I would like to see us get it finished. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Is there any other business that needs to come before the council? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.